everybody. Welcome back. This is Annuity Fundamentals. I am your co-host, Kylie Malat, with your other co-host, Ryan Anderson. And today we have the pleasure, the honor of having Grace Nicholson on with us. She is the founder of the Akamai Group, Akamai Advisors. And gosh, just getting to know her a little bit. Her story is quite impressive. So we're excited to hear from her today and hopefully get some good nuggets that we can take into our business moving forward and getting the ball rolling with insurance. I love it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Kylie. It's nice to get to know you and Ryan. I've been working with Ryan for many years, so it's good to see your face again, talk to you.
Absolutely. Now, you and I started in a different company years ago together, and I hope you're going to be able to kind of talk about the progression of your career today. But I'd like to just kind of give folks a little bit of your background. You're the founder of the
Akamai Advisors.
Akamai Advisors. All right. And that's basically a holistic wealth management company. And I want you to talk about that a little bit about today. And you started that organization 2 years ago after 15 years in the insurance industry, where you've worked as a captive agent, you've worked as a hybrid agent, and now you're starting out on your own. And I want to kind of hear about that. I want to hear the progression of which of those models did you like best. But as we're going through that, kind of tell us about the evolution of your practice. Tell us how you kind of got to where you are. Start from the beginning and paint a picture.
Okay, Ryan. Well, I grew up in Maui, Hawaii. So I guess the evolution for me started on this little rock in the middle of the Pacific. And, growing up with that culture in Maui, Akamai has always been near and dear to my heart. Akamai is the Hawaiian word for smart and intelligent and good sense. And I'm an only child. I was raised by a single mother. And it was important for me, to stand out, and to be different. And I felt like in my community that I was very Akamai, and that's always stayed with me. I feel that that's very important to help elevate the people around you. And so I grew up in Maui. I came to Salt Lake City, Utah for high school. My dad's family is from Utah, and I have a really large network and family here. So I came here for the rest of my school and started at the University of Utah for college. And that's when I got into the financial services industry as a administrative assistant to financial advisors here in Salt Lake. And at 19, I became a mom. So I've been a mom since I was a teenager, and kind of had to beat the odds there, because that's a statistic that sometimes you don't want to be part of, and doesn't always turn out great. And so I was very determined to defy those odds. And so, I followed what I was learning from these advisors that were very successful. And I learned as much as I could. So I got my insurance license when I was 21 years old. And that was an awesome introduction for me, being a young person, especially a young woman in this business, because I really was focused on my education and learning as much as I could to become an expert in my field. I didn't know that people, might not take me seriously as a young person in this industry. And I think that's something a lot of young people face as a challenge. And so I really had to up the ante and spend a lot of time working and learning and studying to become fluent in this language. And that way people, saw through the exterior and could really believe, why I'm here doing what I'm doing, and that it's the right thing for them to work with me.
Absolutely. I mean, you had a lot of things stacked against you. 19, being a mom. I mean, it's the most beautiful but hard thing that we go through as women, right? So being 19, then 21, getting into this industry, and you're right, it is very male dominated. So that is a tick against you there, just finding your footing and just getting into this industry altogether can be intimidating. But plus you're being young and a woman, you do have to perfect your craft. You do have to go the extra mile to let people actually see that you're serious and you're not just there to make them laugh or whatever the case may be, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I do take this job pretty seriously. My kids will tell you, I have teenagers, and they'll tell you that I'm a little too serious sometimes, but I feel that, as a fiduciary, it's very important that I take my job seriously and take my, the liability of this job seriously, and really what we're handling with people's money and their insurance and investments. And I believe that knowledge is power. That's a big part of my journey, is just educating myself and leveling up from that captive agency where I started. I want to talk about that for a minute. It was really incredible to start with this big company that I thought the training was so good. And it was good. It was just very, very specialized, limited information. And they do that on purpose. It's by design, because they can't teach you too much about what else is out there. You're really just learning to find a customer to buy your product, at a captive agency. That is your job. And they help you get really good at understanding and knowing your product, and then finding those customers to buy it. And when you go independent, it's a total paradigm shift, because you're no longer looking at finding the customer to fit your product. You're looking at still finding customers, of course, but your focus becomes about their needs, listening to their needs, and then going out to this big marketplace and plugging the right solution, the right tool that's going to support their plan for their needs.
Oof, I love that.
I love that. And as far as the going through, and I remember when we first met, we were at a hybrid captive agency. So we weren't totally captive, but we weren't totally, independent either. And so, and your progression through that is amazing. Now, with Akamai Advisors, that kind of give us a little bit, tell us a little bit more about what that company is about, and share us a little bit about what you're passionate about with the industry. That if I'm a new agent, how can kind of apply it to that paradigm, if you could?
Okay. I started Akamai Advisors a couple years ago, and it was after a third and final attempt working for somebody else's agency. So it took me 10 years to acquire the knowledge and experience to finally break that glass ceiling and really start to understand the landscape of this industry as a business owner. And that was a big difference between just, I was an agent for many years, meandering the landscape. And then now as a business owner, finally really starting to understand what that looks like, and the differences, between a captive environment or a hybrid captive environment to a totally independent or brokerage environment. So I started Akamai Advisors in 2022 to really out of necessity for me, really, because I couldn't work for other people anymore that didn't align with my paradigm of holistic wealth management, of really taking the time and putting in the effort to become a master at these different areas, and not half-ass it. That's just not my philosophy. So started the company. I've got about 4 agents, advisors working with me right now. And we're growing, but holistic wealth management, it's a buzzword. It's used so often. And I want to kind of break it down for you guys. What this means in my practice is incorporating the 5 pillars of wealth management. And that is starting with financial planning, being the architect of somebody's plan, asset management, tax management, protection planning. That's where all the insurance and safety products come in to protect people. And then legacy planning. Again, insurance plays a big role in that. So combining all of those pillars together to create a holistic approach, and working with different advisors and working to their strengths in the office. Some people really love Medicare and understand Medicare so well. And that was definitely how I got into this business. But
And
I
God
don't have
bless
time.
them.
Yes, I just don't have time for it anymore in my practice, but I certainly don't want to let that part of my business go. And I certainly don't want to not offer that service as a comprehensive, holistic approach for my clients. So got to have, the advisor for that. And same thing with tax management, same thing, with the investment management, which is what I'm doing, and the financial planning. But on the insurance side, you asked, Ryan, what I'm most passionate about on that part of my work. And I am most passionate about obviously helping people create plans, as a holistic advisor, plans that create security and peace of mind. And not just being a piece of that puzzle, but to create a comprehensive management and relationship based on trust. So that's what I'm most passionate about. And as far as a planning strategy, I really dug into life insurance. For about 15 years, I have been studying life insurance intently to be a master at that specific area. And I'm still learning, I'm never going to say I've learned it all, but I love getting a question that I don't know the answer to, because I dig into this and really love it and am passionate about it, and using life insurance as a really multi-purposeful tool in people's plans.
I think that is so understated. You just said you've been doing life insurance for 10 years. So that means you've been studying life insurance. So when people are like, do you know what life insurance is? And they say yes. Does your head just explode? And you're like, oh gosh, there's so much more to it than just a death benefit. Like that is when being the educator and being like holistic, right? And actually explaining. I love that you said knowledge is power, because isn't that the truth? And more often than not, even with my own family, even with myself, when I started learning life insurance, I was like, did you guys know this? Like, did you know it has living benefits? Did you know we could do other things? You know, it could be like a wealth protection strategy. Like, mind blown. I was just thinking life insurance, you die, your family gets a nice payday. And like that was it. So for you to say, I've been doing this nonstop for over 10 years and I'm still learning, I feel like that is just something that everyone needs to really hear and understand.
Coming full circle on this, that again, Grace mentioned that we used to work for the same company years ago. She was actually my trainer and took me out and spent a couple of days with me, showing us like, all right, this is how you go through, and all right, this is how you sell an annuity. I was the king of the small policies, majored in the minors. I sold so many advantage plans and all of these indemnities. I could sell an indemnity to anybody, but I could not give away a life insurance policy. I could not give away an annuity. And I mean, set records for the number of policies sold and set records for the amount of money I didn't make because focusing on the wrong end. And she came out and spent a few days with me and literally is like, oh, that's how you do it. Just changing some simple language. And actually, a lot of the classes that Kylie and I teach now on Annuity Fundamentals, on how to go through on how some of the basic scripts, some of those sentences were lifted directly off of the training that you gave me. So I mean,
Awesome.
it's going out, and I don't know if you know that, but it's like, yeah, I totally got that from Grace. This is hers. I'm not sure if I'm giving her credit now, but then yeah, it was hers.
Yeah,
And
that's wonderful.
it is. But now, as you're going through here and doing this, that some of the biggest challenges that I had were focusing on the wrong things. What were some of the biggest obstacles you had going through that progression, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, Ryan, there are quite a few obstacles to going independent, to being in this business, period. I think the first obstacle is there is so much to learn. And it's easy to, drown in all of the possibilities of what you could possibly learn. And so you have to make steady progress. You have to commit yourself to a system, and that's in every aspect: a marketing system, a client management system, a study system for your education. Because I find myself, there all the time, like, oh, there's so many things vying for my time and my attention. And all of us have so many trainings we're invited to and different conferences we're invited to. We could literally have a full-time job just going to those types of events, but we have to filter through and really decide what's worth our time. And so I would say that obstacle of, there's just so much to do, break it off in pieces, attack what, and part of that is get crystal clear in your own mind about what you want to be a master of. Look at the picture, the big picture, and ask yourself 3 years from now, 5 years from now, where do I want to be? What kind of conversations do I want to be having in these client meetings? And that is really what drove my evolution, is I asked myself, what kind of client meetings do I want to have? Do I want to sit down with people where I'm haggling to save them $20 a month? Or do I want to have conversations about dynastical wealth strategies and philanthropy and, educating their next generation on wealth management and asset accumulation. Those are the kinds of conversations that I want to be having and am having now because I was intentional about that thought. So get crystal clear about what you want to be a master at and start chipping away at it.
That's beautiful. I think having that longevity, that vision of maybe I don't want to just talk about Medicare for the next 10 years. What else do I want to do? And I got to say, your reaction to Ryan saying, hey, the things you said to me impacted me, and that was over 10 years ago, and I implement that in my training, your face lit up. And I think that's just so important to say, guys, we're all on the same team. That's why we're putting this content out there, because we want everyone to get better. Because when we get better and we raise everybody up, it's just a beautiful thing. We more often than not, we are in clients' homes where we can see that that agent didn't serve them well, or maybe that agent was a little tunnel vision on something instead of giving them the whole scope of things. So I appreciated just like your genuineness of that came across. I mean, you can tell that you really love to help people and to give them that extra information to make them better, to make that home holistic. I think that's so important. And that's where people really get short-sighted and there is no longevity because they think, oh, it's just a Medicare appointment next. And you're thinking that's a Medicare appointment, but they're retiring soon and they have a 401k. So we need to have a conversation. Now is not the time, but I know there will be a time. And having that mind shift, I think, is going to help new agents see into the future and not just the right here and now.
That's a great point, Kylie. And, we should never be thinking, though, this is just a blank appointment. Maybe for Ryan 10 years ago, that was a dental vision, right, Ryan? A cancer policy appointment, whatever. But you never know who is going to introduce you to your next biggest client, to your best relationship that you have in your business. I always tell people that I never know who's going to be my next introduction that changes my life. And I don't know which introduction is going to be the one that I change their life, but I hope it's as many as possible. Right. And so, I think we should just always stay focused that we're building relationships here. We're building a practice, hopefully a long-term practice, and to not be short-sighted on that. Medicare is a great door opener. I used it for 10 years, more than 10 years to get myself in the door. And there's great systems around that, but it's just a piece of it. And so, open your horizons and decide what you want to get really good at and continue on that
elevate.
Path. Exactly.
You've said two or three things that really strike me. One of the things was focusing on learning. And as far as, did you ever at some point in time feel that you might have focused on the wrong thing for too long? I mean, you talked about staying in careers too long, but maybe is the emphasis supposed to be on products? Should the emphasis be on systems and processes? Should the emphasis be on, okay, I've got my insurance license, my life and health license, maybe I should get my securities, my Series 65. Maybe I should do something else. As far as, what do you think in that process of learning and growing had the biggest impact in transitioning from a captive agent to the owner of a successful financial services industry company?
Great question. I think that I just decided that I wasn't going to let other people run my business for me. I was, and that's answering the question of, did you focus on something too long? Yeah. I focused on just annuities and products too long and let a manager kind of lead where my business was taking me as a result of that. And when I took the reins and said, no more of that, I'm going to run it myself, I realized, you can't do a great job for people with just one license. And that's for any license, honestly. If all I do is sling mutual funds, I'm not being a holistic advisor. If all I'm doing is writing insurance products, I can't be completely holistic. And so I felt a responsibility to my clients and my, community to further my education even more. And I spent about 6 months studying for my Series 65. And I'm really proud of myself that I passed the first time. So that was a huge achievement for me.
That is huge. Kudos. That test is gnarly. That was the grouchiest I'd ever seen Ryan, was a week
Yeah.
leading up to that test. I was like, I can't wait for that to be over.
Yeah. And I did it 2 weeks before my wedding in
Oh
Maui.
my gosh,
Oh,
you're
geez.
So,
nuts.
yeah.
That
So
just goes to show that you're the woman. Like, oh my gosh.
yeah, I was planning my wedding, my destination wedding at home in Maui while I was here in Utah, studying for my exam. And I was just very dedicated. Like I told my husband, there's no way that I'm having to take this twice. It's so the goal wasn't just pass, it was pass the first time. And that was part of my progression because I had to. It was really out of necessity, Ryan. There wasn't another option. And did I see myself even 5 years ago being an investment advisor? Maybe he would have had to twist my arm, because there is so much more regulation and compliance and money, so much extra cost involved, to have this side of the business instead of just the other. But it is worth it. It is where I'm meant to be. And it just took, people kind of dragging their feet and causing me to go, wait a minute, maybe I can do this better on my own. And then and I am not all on my own. I had to find good circles of people around me. And I think that's also a really huge piece of this. Anybody who wants longevity in this business needs to surround themselves with mentors and friends who are good people doing good, doing the right thing and doing it the right way. And that elevates all of us. So I'm incredibly blessed to be part of this incredible RIA, Prosperity Capital Advisors. I have great relationships and mentorship, and I really wouldn't be where I'm at without the help from not just them, but a lot of people along my way, taking my
that
hand.
that's a common theme that we hear from a lot of the guests on this show, is that the mentorship, finding a high grade partner, finding somebody that can kind of guide them along the way. Now you're looking to go ahead to grow your own business there, and you are also, if we were talked before that we started the recording and all that, that you're looking to add some people to your team. Who are you looking for exactly there?
Yeah, I'd like to grow my team by having actually more women. I'm looking for professional women. I'll take professional men too. We like everybody, but my firm is really about prospering with women, helping women to prosper in this business and learn the financial services business and elevate their practice. If you like helping people and you like selling Medicare, you'll love expanding that, right? And being able to provide even more services and plug into our system. So right now I've got 4 ladies that work with me and 1 male, and we're looking to grow our team. We'd like more of everybody, but specifically I'm looking for professionals who have tax experience, CPAs, EAs, specifically looking for advisors who want to level up their knowledge base on annuities and life insurance, and who are proficient with, Medicare and Social Security planning.
All right. So now you're based in Salt Lake. Are you looking for people in Salt Lake? Are you looking for people across the country? Does it matter, or do you prefer?
It doesn't really matter. We have an office in Idaho. We've got a couple offices here in Utah. But with the way the world is these days, so much can be done networking online, and you don't need physical offices and corporate headquarters and all that kind of stuff to prosper. So, if you're interested, call me. Let's talk. Let's come to my website, schedule an appointment, and we'll see what we can work out together.
And we'll put the website and the phone number in the comments below to do that. But we had a guest on last week. Her name's Joyce Garcia, and she's out of Austin, Texas. And she had her company was Legacy Insure Group. I'm trying to do it off the top of my head here. And she is, again, she and Kylie had a conversation. Maybe you can kind of pick up from there about how it's hard to be a woman in this male-dominated business. I mean, when Kylie, her rookie year, she won the convention trip and looked around. It's like, dude, everybody here looks like you. They're old and what you call it, men, and like balding. You've got hair, but everybody else is gray. I'm kind of an anomaly here. And I mean, I think you guys had similar experience with that, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, I mean, go to a training, go to a insurance college, go to a convention, and you look around. And when you're, the minority, being a female, you look around and you notice And you're like, where's all my girls at? So when you're like, I'm looking for some professional women, they're out there. They're just looking for a home.
That's
So
exactly right, Kylie. I'm so glad you said
100%.
that.
So shout out to you and your group, and like what you're building is going to be something really beautiful, and that just comes across, and I hope our audience can see that as well. So if you're in the Salt Lake area, it doesn't matter, as she said before. If you're looking to join a group of badass women, this is a group for you. I mean, I'm ready to go. I'm like, you know what? I like this. She's ready to roll. This is my kind of people, and I think that could really, I mean, I'm ready. I could do it.
That's awesome.
Like, let's
And
Yeah.
you're
get
a partner.
together. This
You're not
sounds
going
fun.
anywhere. Hey, right where you're at, you're happy. Now, okay, so now let's talk about this. You have been successful everywhere you've gone. You started right out of college there as an admin. They moved into a captive agency. And now I'm pulling this from memory. So if I get one of these facts wrong, correct me. You
Okay.
qualified for convention your first year, President's Club your first year at that organization. A couple of close friends had moved away and they dragged you to the company where we started together. You got Rookie of the Year, set records that it took years to get broken. You became 3 years in, you were the corporate trainer for the entire organization. They kept trying to make you a manager, and he's like, no, 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 I just like to sell. I actually enjoy my life. So you avoided that, but you were the corporate trainer to all the 10 or 12 offices or 8 offices or whatever it was. You went off with another company and were their top salesperson for years before starting your own. Did I get any of that wrong?
No, you pretty much nailed it, Ryan. Good
All right.
memory.
I think what
What?
Ryan's trying to get across is this woman has game, and she's willing and wanting to get your game elevated. I love
Okay.
it.
Now, one of the things here that really ticked me off is that I am very competitive, and every damn week she beat me. And I'm like, come on, I'm new at this. I'm twice her age. How come she's training me? All right. And that really bugged me. I've got like 3 or 4 of the little weekly reports that we kept. One of them, there was a guy named Brendan Johansson that I tried. He was number one for a year, except for one week. I kept that report. The first time I beat your weekly numbers, I kept that report. I've got it in the drawer. I could dig it out if you want to see it, because it was a goal. It's like, okay, I can beat her once, I can beat her twice. And it kind of went from there. But what was the key to your success? What has made you be at the top of the pile, no matter what company, no matter what organization? Why? How do you, what can, what's getting you there?
Well, I think consistency. I really, really strive for consistency. And I think that a lot of people in this business make a big win and they take a break, or they make a big win and then and then they lose it. And it's like all the wind is out of their sails. And if you can be consistent, those things, they don't make or break you.
Absolutely.
That is,
And
I think
in
it takes a
addition to
good
that,
mentor to say that too. So having
yeah.
you in the office to say, hey, Kylie, that was amazing. We closed $500,000 in business. I know you're here. I need you to be here because soon it'll be here. The lows are low, the highs are high. In this business, the highs are high, but boy, the lows are low. And keeping you level and consistent is what is going to give you longevity in this business. It's going to give you what Grace has turned. I want to do Medicare. I want to write insurance into having her own agency. I think that is everything. You embody that.
Yeah, thank you. Consistency is huge, but in order to be consistent, you have to have systems.
Mm.
And that's the other part to the success, is the systems. And I have always strived for great systems. I know great systems when I see them. I can tell a bad system when I see it. And I've had to walk away from relationships, some friendships, right, in business, because the systems weren't great. It wasn't personal, it was business. And I'm so glad that I made those hard decisions, because the systems I have now allow me to be consistent and allow me to do great things.
it's a great place to be. You talked about systems. We had a guy on a few weeks ago who was quoting James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits. And he actually had there's a quote in that book that I've got hanging on the wall here. And it says that we don't rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our systems. And if we don't have those solid systems, those pieces in there, to consistently go through and do it. And that is such a huge thing. And I am right there with you with the systems goal. Now, as we're getting kind of here close to the end of our time together, one last question for you. If I'm a brand new agent, I'm starting in the industry, what advice and counsel would you give them? If you're to sit down to somebody that you wanted to be successful, what would you tell them?
I would tell them to decide what you want out of this business and really, analyze your 3-year plan, your 5-year plan, your 10-year plan, and decide what you want to be a master of so that I don't want to call it wasted time because it's all experience and we learn from all of it. But in hindsight, I wish that I would have decided what I wanted in as far as the investment path a little bit sooner because you want to get crystal clear on these things. Time is one of those things that we're all after. We want money, maybe all of us, are in this business for some reason, but at the same time, I think that money just allows us to have freedom of our time. And at the end of the day, there's a lot of people who are motivated in this business and not necessarily for the dollars, but for the freedom of their time. So decide what you want. Decide what you want to be a master of. It will save you time. Decide who your ideal client is and talk about it. Tell people about it. Who is your ideal client? Like you asked me, who are you trying to attract as part of your firm? Talk about it, scream it from the rooftops. This is who I'm looking for because people want to help you. As humans, we're wired for connection and we want to help each other and connect to each other, especially women, which is why I love working with females. So don't waste your time trying to master every single thing or, go on every single trip or every single training, right? Because you could waste a bunch of time doing all that. Just get focused. Make a plan on what you're going to be a master at and just be consistent with that plan.
Wow.
And don't get tripped up by the rejection and the failures because every no is just the next gateway to the next yes. And you have to start seeing it that way.
Wow. Thank you so much, Grace. I mean, this has been eye-opening. I hope our listeners are really taking this in and saying, hey, you know what? I want to change my life. And if I'm looking for a group, I mean, the Akamai group is looking and waiting for you to pick up the phone and give them a call. Thank you so much for joining us, Grace. And thank you everybody for watching. Again, this is Annuity Fundamentals. I'm Kylie Malat. Please like and subscribe, put in the comments, ask some questions. We like interaction. So we look forward to hearing from you and we'll see you next week. Thanks so much.